My name is Harry, and I'm from London.
Meghan Markle here.
Today is May 23rd, 2024. It is 5:11 a.m. There are some tweets that I came across after I did my recording earlier, and I'm in the middle of editing it. And before the kids wake up for school, I want to look into them really quick. So I might as well record it while I'm in the middle of it. Okay, so there's this here. Some of them I've already shared on my community board, and the links that if I have time, I'll read. I've shared those links on my community board already. Okay, the press vilify Prince Harry because he is hell-bent on exposing them. I adore him for being brave enough to do this. They should have left his wife and his mother alone. Okay, so this is a retweet of this. I'll come back out and I want to see what Byline has to say here. Someone put a link of Byline. Let's see here. Not like a tweet of Byline. New, what the Washington Post sent out an email Tuesday night with a directive for editors. Don't link to a story about developments in Prince Harry's lawsuit involving the Post CEO. When was that? May 21st. Because I came across him before. I don't know how deep I went into the story, but I could have been Byline. Could have been Byline. Because he was sitting next to Rupert Murdoch or something like that. And someone in comments said he's the Washington Post editor or something like that. So let's see here. That's from, where is it? Okay, I don't know what newspaper is that. The link will be in the description. And I think I was trying to do the archive version of it, and someone already did it. Right, Washington Post downplays Prince Harry's allegation against Post CEO. That's him. The Scoop, a top Washington Post editor, instructed editors Tuesday night not to promote a story about a controversy involving the paper's new CEO, Will Lewis. On Tuesday, a court in the United Kingdom ruled that Prince Harry could introduce new amendment. Oh, so that's why. New amendment. But is that the same one? When was this written? Any date? May 22nd. Okay, May 22nd. So this is new. This is new. Okay. On Tuesday, a court in the United Kingdom ruled that Prince Harry could introduce new amendments in a lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch's News Corp over phone hacking, including one alleging that Lewis, then a News Corp executive, was involved in a plan to delete emails regarding the phone hacking after the scheme was revealed. The Washington Post published a detailed story about the ruling on Tuesday, noting Lewis' role and his denial of wrongdoing. I mean, what do you expect him to say? But in the hours after the story was published, editors sought to downplay it. In an email to some staff Tuesday evening, newsletter chief Elena Zach issued a brief directive with the subject line, quote, "Don't distribute this story," linking to... I'm laughing because I'm reading about it now. This was supposed to be somewhat, I don't know, private, okay, between them in some shape or form. I don't know, but they're making an article about it. Don't distribute this story, linking to Tuesday's development. Okay, quote, "Please do not put this Prince Harry story in any of your newsletters," she wrote. The email contained no additional information explaining why the paper did not want the story included in its newsletter. A Post employee familiar with the situation told semaphore after the story was published that Tuesday's email was a result of some internal miscommunication between editors. Okay, alright, wink wink. The Post declined to explain what happened, but provided a statement from managing editor Mattia Gold, quote, "The Washington Post is committed to covering this topic and all stories independently, rigorously, and fairly. We had routine discussion about the promotion of this piece across our platform. No more." While the year-long lawsuit has not dominated headlines in the U.S., Lewis' appointment to the top job at the Washington Post and recent court filing have revitalized interest in the story and media circle. Prince Harry and 40 other plaintiffs have alleged that Lewis attempted to cover up executive role in the scandal by helping to justify the erasure of emails that could have contained details about the scandal. Lewis has denied wrongdoing publicly and to the Washington Post newsroom and said that he was brought in after the scandal to put things right. He told staff does not want to discuss the issue further. Lewis, the former publisher, I don't know anyone from the UK, they really tainted a lot of how do you call them, newspaper people, a lot of journalists. They really tainted a lot of journalists. The only one that will come somewhat reasonable is while in the storm, the negativity was being promoted in the UK, and some differentiate themselves out of that group because they kept their standard, their ethical standard. These are the only people I will take somewhat seriously, pretty much like Byline, because they literally I believe it was during the pandemic or something like that. They started Byline. Just look at the screen. When I'm editing, I'll look it up. And they saw what was going on that were wrong, and they branch out. They create the YouTube channel, and recently they start doing printing and all of that. Alright, so these are the group I will probably most likely trusted, and if I have a newspaper business, most likely will hire them instead of this bunch. Okay. Lewis, the former publisher of the Wall Street Journal, replaced outgoing CEO Fred Ryan in November with a promise to modernize the papers. Modernize? And you bring him? It's pretty much turned that into what the UK papers are. Are you freaking kidding me? With a promise to modernize the paper's newsroom and stem recent business losses, Tuesday's ruling is also awkward timing for Lewis, who is slated to unveil the latest part of the company's new Build It strategy at a company-wide town hall scheduled for Wednesday morning, which he previewed in an interview with Semaphore last year. Yeah, I mean, he's doing that in coincidence with what's going on in the UK. Okay, the news, shipmaker, okay, I think this is different. Yeah, these are different, but this is the one here. I'll put the link, and I believe I have a archive version of it. All right, so let's go back on Twitter. Some of the comments. This is some of the squad. The Washington Post that broke the Watergate story is practicing censorship. See what happens when you put a British tabloid editor in charge. Things go downhill fast. Exactly. Alright, why? They knew what he was when they hired him. Exactly. This is, I was like, modernize? It's pretty much to turn it into the UK version type of tabloid. Will Washington Post now do hate pieces on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex? Why is American media importing Britain's moral degenerates to pollute our media? From Woodward and Bernstein to Catch and Kill. Okay, Washington Post CEO was involved in massive criminality, including destruction of evidence with Murdoch after the police started investigating the phone hacking. Alright, this podcast episode on Murdoch Media phone hacking criminality is jaw-dropping. Nick Davis, I'm no royalist, but I feel quite proud of the fact that Prince Harry is standing up to them and he won't back down. Okay, so there's more comment. I want to go into that, what I just read. Okay, this is why some, especially from the UK, are in denial and will rather make people believe Harry has some sort of revenge against them when all they have done is abuse and harass this man all his life. That's pretty much that. Journalism is dead. Democracy dies. Oh, never mind. Turn the light off. Okay, visual receipt. Tag somebody. There's that. Did you ask Washington Post editors to kill this story about your CEO allegedly being mentioned in Prince Harry's court case? If so, why? Byline time. They tag byline time. Please investigate this. Wow. Who is that person? Oh, he's following me. Burner Observer, Manhattan Night public relation guy in New York. Okay. He's following me. I'm surprised. Okay, there's 2 comments under it. They tag more people. Okay, who are these people here? Pointer, West School for Journalism and Democracy. Okay, they're tagging all sort of people. Monitoring the press, tracking the evolving media business, and encouraging excellence in journalism. Wow, some prominent things here on the media, a weekly radio show and podcast on all things media produced and distributed by WNYC Studio. Follow the studio Instagram. Very interesting. Let me bookmark this. I'll look back into probably follow these. All right, so let's go back. There's one that I said I wanted to go. A podcast, they say. This one. Okay, let's go into it. How long is that? Media Confidential on Apple Podcasts. Is that okay? I'll leave the link since I click on it. All right, I thought it was an audio. Never mind. I'm not even gonna share that. Okay, so let's go back. I don't have that much time. The post I started here. Now I'm back here. Please do not put this Prince Harry story in any of your newsletter, as the Washington Post downplays CEO Lewis' involvement. Is that the one that I went? No, I went into this. Now there's that. Someone else is talking about it. Okay, so this is the byline article. All right. Please do not put this Prince Harry story in any of your newsletter. That's in quote, by the way, as the Washington Post downplays CEO Will Lewis' involvement in the Murdoch phone hacking story. Peter Jukes dissects 10 years of press and political cover-up and impunity. All right. This tells you Murdoch News media are worried. Yeah. I mean, why do you think Charles had asked Harry to stay at one of his palace that wasn't even protected? Okay, so they could come and do their thing. This is like a freaking mafia thing that's going on here. And Harry knows them. Before, when Harry was over there, when he didn't have kids, he didn't married, he just leave them alone and block it. And whenever he's done, he just go to Africa. But now that they're passing this nonsense into his kid, he wants to stop it. All right, let's go into that. The link will be in the description as well. The spectacle of impunity phone hacking cover-up claims across Atlantic. Okay, so that was yesterday. I didn't see them until recently. Okay. Oh, why this is highlighted? Oh, I think it could be red.
It's nearly exactly 10 years since I sat in the Hush Court 12 of the Old Bailey to hear the jury 4 women read out the verdicts in the 8-month-long phone hacking trial of Rebecca Brooks, then CEO of News International, on charges of conspiracy to hack phones and pay public officials for stories. And along with her...
Okay, you know what? I don't think it's right for me to just let this play on a video. Why this thing? The highlighting is really annoying. Let's see something here. Let's close it. Open it back up. I don't want the highlight. Let's see here. I want to read it myself, and as I process it, and I have something to say. It's nearly exactly 10 years since I sat in the Hush Court 12 of the Old Bailey to hear the jury 4 women. I think I read this. Why do it feels familiar? Read out the verdicts in the 8-month-long phone hacking trial of Rebecca Brooks, then CEO of News International, on charges of conspiracy to hack phones and pay public officials for stories, and along with her assistant Cheryl Carter, head of security Mark Hanna, and her husband Charlie Brooks, charged of conspiring to pervert the course of justice. All were found not guilty. Wow. All were found not guilty. When was that? 10 years ago. Okay, 10 years since. Okay, the verdict felt momentous. An estimate £100 million had been spent on the legal team police investigation, and court costs, more than 70% of that privately by Rupert Murdoch. I also been told that if Senior News International executive had been convicted, the police and Crown Prosecution Service were considering corroborate charges against the company and its controlling mind. However, all that was swept away by the verdict. Yeah. Yep. Minutes later, Brooks' deputy editor at the by then defunct News of the World and close companion Andy Coulson was found guilty of conspiring to intercept voicemail. Yeah, they let their buddies out, but this is the part here that's very scary for Harry. The majority of the other Murdoch journalists and Coulson position with such clear evidence against them had pleaded guilty before the trial began, but by staying in the trial, Coulson had helped Brooks. The strength of the case against him made that against her seem comparatively weak and more inferential. Coulson had gone from the News of the World to Downing Street, where he was David Cameron's head of communication at number 10. Minutes later, the then Prime Minister had to answer questions in the House of Commons from the then Labour leader, Ed Miliband. Cameron said he had given Coulson a second chance and regretted it. What? My God, it could have been a defining moment. The trial and the Leveson inquiry into the culture, practices, and ethics of the press launched following the full exposure of the phone hacking scandal by The Guardian in 2011 had unleashed a torrent of information about the merry-go-round of clandestine social contacts between senior news editors and newspaper proprietors and tab politicians. Rupert Murdoch meeting prospective British prime ministers as if he were the ultimate power in the land, and then being invited through the back door to the Downing Street when they succeeded as if in benediction. Wow. It was as if a light had suddenly been turned on in a dark room. We saw Brooks herself partying with Tony Blair and David Blunkett and enjoying country dinners and horse riding trip with her Oxfordshire neighbor David Cameron. We glimpsed the plush interiors of the elite political media class that manipulate the public through a series of backdoor deals. There's the thing here, which I mentioned in one of my videos. I was just editing it. They create the rules for all the little people to follow, but these people, they don't follow the rules. They give money under the table so they could go straight to the top. This is so freaking crazy. Okay, to a series of backdoor deals and revolving door appointment, but then the light turned off and we were in the dark again. My goodness. The restoration. At the time of the phone hacking trial verdict in 2014, it would have been fair comment to suggest that though Rebecca Brooks was found innocent of several criminal charges, she was guilty of being one of the most incompetent editors and CEOs in recent history. Somehow not noticing what the lead prosecutor called the criminal enterprise operating beneath her, people speculate that she will have found another career. So it was almost as great a shock that within a year, Brooks was back in the... Oh my God! Brooks was back in her old job as head of the now rebranded News UK and one of the most influential figures in British media. And that is how the spectacle of impunity became embedded in our lives. Thanks to a decade of dodge and detailed civil litigation since, we now know much more about the things the media wasn't punished for. Okay, News UK had started claiming that phone hacking was the product of a rogue reporter, and then by shutting the News of the World, suggesting that it was a rogue newspaper and the criminal news gathering operating had nothing to do with the Murdoch flagship daily tabloid, The Sun, which Brooks also edited. This turned out to be bunk. More than 1,600 private cases have been settled by the company. Many of them claim against The Sun, and the News UK has paid out about £1 billion to date. Nor was unlawful information gathering limited to voicemail interception. Many of the settled claims involve blagging, theft, landline phone tapping, surveillance, and unlawful access to private medical and financial records. Watch, when this thing goes to trial, you're gonna see, I'm sorry to say that, Charles' cancer is gonna be so grave he cannot be seen outside. Okay. On the corporate scale, the evidence of systematic cover-up has only increased during the last decade. My live tweets from the Old Bailey were the basis of lawyers seeking disclosure about News UK's emails deletion policy. Clever Murdoch lawyers tried to rename this their email retention policy, and it's now appear according to a concealment and destruction claim that the company destroyed vital evidence every time it was asked to preserve it. Some 31 million emails were deleted as civil and criminal cases loom. Yeah, I remember reading that someplace else. And I think they recovered about a little bit more than half. Okay, the journalist Nick Davies, who first reported the phone hacking scandal in The Guardian in 2009, has come out of retirement to dig deeper, into the new evidence lodged in this civil claim for Prospect magazine, now edited by his former Guardian editor, Alan Rushbridger. He reports on the concerted cover-up by the News UK and how journalists or investigators who might have blown the whistle were rewarded with jobs or cash payments and required to sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. Davies revealed that it was not only emails that went missing. Following Brooks' arrest in July 2011, 125 items were seized by the police and placed in a secure area at the company's wiping headquarters under the supervision of two Murdoch executives. Simon Greenberg and Will Lewis. There's the guy here, the Washington Post guy that I was just reading a few minutes ago. Will Lewis, when detectives returned to complete the detailed search of all the equipment, they discovered only 117 items remain. 8 filing cabinets seized from the office of the editor and the managing editor had been removed. They have never been recovered. My God. But the sense of lawlessness and impunity goes further. They let the how do they call this? The wolf guard the sheep. The wolves guard the sheep. Escalation to espionage. Oh my God. An account that sound more like the action of East German's Stasi secret police. Davies suggests that News UK continues its unlawful news gathering even as Parliament was investigating it, and that it was using criminal methods to hack the phones of MPs, not for tittle-tattle or tabloid sleaze, but for political and commercial espionage. To trap them. You do this, vote for this, or else we release that. That's all it was. From the payments and phone lags disclosed by News UK to the civil claimants, Davies report that News UK employed numerous private investigators to hack private individuals and also MPs, including cabinet ministers. These criminal methods were used to target politicians in every rank, including the Attorney General, Business Secretary, and up to the Chancellor and Prime Minister. More than 1,500 suspicious calls from the generic numbers of Murdoch's wiping headquarters, targeting 16 Liberal Democrat MPs and many MPs from other parties. There were suspicious calls to Dominic Grieve, then Attorney General, when as Director of Public Prosecution, he was considering possible prosecution against journalists. 5 members of the House of Commons Digital Culture, Media and Sport Committee perceived to be the hostile to Murdoch's commercials interests. This guy is freaking old. He's about to go. My God. What the hell? Isn't what he has enough for him? Oh, Lord. Making it worse for the next generation. Okay. To be hostile to Murdoch's commercial interests. Receive hundreds of inexplicable calls. Okay. One MP who was hacked told the High Court that the pattern of behavior was a cynical and outrageous attempt to subvert the legitimate process of parliamentary scrutiny. Both as Chancellor and then Prime Minister, Gordon Brown was targeted 24 times from the wiping hub. He is now considering joining the civil claimant against News UK and has written to Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley requesting a meeting as a precursor to a new criminal investigation and to this allegation of espionage. He is also asking the police to look at the corporate cover-up at News UK. Whether the police will reopen its investigation remains unclear. There is a civil trial against News UK scheduled for next year, and I think that's the part where Harry is part of. In the meantime, this spectacle of impunity of the last decade has served as a stern lesson to the entire political media class. If they can lie and cover up vehemently and shamelessly enough, they can get away with it. It's not just Rebecca Brooks. For many prominent parties and the phone hacking scandal, it seems to have helped rather than hindered their careers. Will Lewis, the News Corp executive who should have been overseeing the disclosure of the police, was recently elevated to the role of CEO with no shame. They have no shame at all. Role of CEO at the Washington Post, the newspaper once famed for exposing Richard Nixon. There's the part here. Oh, so this is where one of the squad put it. The newspaper once famed for exposing Richard Nixon's Watergate cover-up with the fearless reporting team of Bob Woodruff and Carl Bernstein. Yeah, they're bringing these people to continue their nonsense. Former Sun editor Tony Gallagher, now editor of The Times, faces civil claim of unlawful information gathering. We just have to pray we have a proper judge to do this thing, because these people, I've seen their pattern. They cover all of their bases. And this is why I was so scared when Meghan was doing her privacy letter thing. I was really afraid for her. Some squad were calling me out, but I was reading everything outside the periphery of the things that was being said on the tabloid. These are the real deal here. And I'm afraid for, look at his father is inviting him to stay at a palace that there's no security at all. And then they took his house away. I mean, Harry's not stupid. We see the thing that they're trying to do. Who knows what the papers have against Charles, why he's trying to Diana, his son. Okay, Piers Morgan, who a judge last year concluded must have known about phone hacking when he was editor of The Mirror, was giving a reported £15 million a year 3-year contract by Murdoch as a host on Talk TV. No bad deed goes unrewarded. My God. And it's not just the media figures. The example of impunity embodied by these press luminaries shines out over the entire political landscape and goes a long way to explain the forces underlying many of the disasters of the last decade. The widespread. My goodness. It's surely no accident that the media figures and newspapers involved in covering up the dark arts of Fleet Street were key players in the lies, dirty data, and electoral dark arts of the EU referendum campaign in 2016. Yeah. There's a video I did. I never made it public. And how they come about to target certain voters. Many of you will be surprised how they get it. First, it was done manually. People walking door by door, and they explain how they did it. But these people, the UK, took it to another level. And nearly all of these papers push the propaganda and disinformation of the official Vote Leave campaign fronted by Boris Johnson and Michael Gove, or its unofficial rival Leave EU, led by Nigel Farage. I remember I did a video where they were dancing, they're partying. And then one of them told Charles to shut up. Alright, the Sun even registered itself as a campaigning organization with the Electoral Commission and its fervent support for a Leave vote and the referendum. And when you look at what's happening in the UK, this is why they wanted to leave the EU. Because with their business people, okay, so they don't have any regulation. Nobody could control them. But EU, they had it when they were part of European Union, because they can't really bribe these people. So they took the UK out of EU so they could do whatever it is they want. And at one point, I remember, it's probably still on PYTE, and I was like, oh my God, they want to control the court. some of the bad things that were happening. You see, they were arresting those pedophiles left and right, and I was like, oh my God, they want to control the courts too. So when they do their prosecution in the UK court, they could get away with it. And look at this, it was already being done. My goodness, wow. After David, I skipped this paragraph by accident. The owners of the Telegraph, having previously been fined for sharing readership data with the Conservative Party during the 2015 general election, were invited to meeting with the infamous Cambridge Analytica data harvesting company and Leave EU. This is my video that I then put out, has to do with that. The Cambridge Analytica data. Okay, so let's continue. Next paragraph. Goodness, wow. After David Cameron resigned in the wake of shock result, his successor Theresa May became the next focus of the emboldened political media class. She was pressured into dropping the overdue second part of the Leveson inquiry into the relationship between journalists and the police, which could only take place after the criminal cases have concluded. My God, this is okay. Her then culture, Harry was lucky to have the Prime Minister to let him see the Leveson inquiry information. And I don't know what he got out of that to insert it into his lawsuit that's coming up. Her then Culture Secretary Matt Hancock suggests to the House of Commons that Lord Justice Leveson himself did not want part 2 of the inquiry to go ahead, when in fact he had said no such thing. Oh my God, these people they don't care about lying. No such thing, merely that he could not be the presiding judge. Because they're probably pressuring him. He don't want to deal with these people. This is a freaking group. It's a group of criminal people, allegedly. In 2018, when Carol Cadwallard and the Observer revealed massive data harvesting and misuse, unlawful electoral overspend by Vote Leave, and a riot of meeting between Russian and Leave. Wow. Russian and Leave EU, these same newspapers did their best to mark or minimize them, and so the rat spread from Fleet Street to Westminster, undermining all the norms of political life, both written and unwritten. The same political media class went on to topple May and force Boris Johnson, who called phone hacking left-wing cadswallop on the country. They applauded his unlawful prorogation of Parliament. The Mail branded the Supreme Court judge who ruled on it enemies of the people. My God. And meanwhile, it's because they're doing the psychology of things, because the judge didn't go for them. And his hard exit from the EU, they lauded his handling of the pandemic as following the signs, when Johnson was in fact resisting it. My God. And for 2 years, they ignored the multiple breaches of the ministerial code, the conflict of interest with hedge fund donors, and the billion wasted in crony COVID contracts through the VIP lane. I remember I did a video about that. Oh my, okay, I was gonna stop. I was gonna say that's it, but let me finish it. During this time, the newspaper cartel, that's definitely that, benefited from what Johnson's former chief advisor Dominic Cummings referred to as bonds that were dressed up as COVID relief, hundreds of millions of pounds, and subsidies from the government in the form of pandemic adverts and VAT relief as circulation figures dropped during the early days of the crisis. The rat has not stopped. The impunity lives on. When Johnson's self-serving lies and complete lack of standard became too much, the Mail, Telegraph, and the Sun boosted his even worse replacement, Liz Truss, whose short tenure, she knew she wasn't gonna stay that long. She just wanted that lifetime of security and all the money that would be coming to her. Is it 120 something? Look at the screen. I have that. Whoever prime minister, what they get for life. Liz Truss, whose short tenure in Downing Street caused a run on gilt-edged securities, a near collapse of pension funds, and a massive hike in interest rates. But both Johnson and Truss are regularly still heralded as true conservative. Their historical bankrupt ideas paraded in the pages of the right-wing papers as worthy of our attention. their past mistakes and misdemeanor papered covered by a press that has too many mistakes and misdemeanors of its own to know the difference. They know exactly what they're doing, okay? Who is really blackmailing whom, who is really the client and who is the provider, or have media and politics so merged that they have become a single entity, corrupting both representative politics and the politics of representation. As we head toward the general election, and this is on my last video, what is it, Charles or the royal family is taking days off or something because of that election coming up. Expect this spectacle of impunity to intensify and accelerate it. Both politicians and the media are like a couple in a dance macabre, locked in an embrace of complicity and guilt they cannot escape until the music stops. And this is why I was saying Harry and Meghan's union was necessary to open people's eyes. Some people who mind about the royals and this was going on, they read their tabloid and they go about their business, they will not be looking into this. But because they keep on instigating, going after Harry's wife because they want to use Harry as the scapegoat and to, you know, the squirrel type of thing, but it opens people's eyes. It backfired. And I did say Harry and Meghan's union, it's what the UK needed to at least enlighten them. The US is still finding on, because in 2020 the US got itself out of the nonsense that Trump was putting in. And you see all these people within the US politics is really self-destructing. The same thing that's going on in the UK. Okay, the same thing. But in its respective ways. The people of the US fought itself out, and now we are hanging by a thread because you still have Republicans doing its bidding, trying to get Trump back in. So we're not out of the woods yet. This is why I was like, before we could help Middle East, we need to put our mask on. As much as many of us don't like what happened in the Middle East, because the politicians, the GOPs, were really putting the fire under President Biden. So I'm not saying what went on in the Middle East, I try to block it, especially now that the YouTube don't want people to talk about it. But I see other channels talking about it. I guess that was made specifically for me. But we need to put our mask on and then get ourselves out of what we are in. And then I think he could act on what's going on in the Middle East, because the GOP was really putting a lot of pressure on him. If he could save, if he's giving money to, what do you call this? The, what's the one with Russia fighting Ukraine? So they must give to the other one. So at the whole process, the US looked bad. I could understand that, because I've seen what I saw on social media with those kids and all of that. Okay, generation wiped out. But it's because of what the GOP is really putting the fire under President Biden. But at the end of the day, this is something I need to talk about after the election, because at some point someone needs to bring this branch of aspect of this. But anyway, too much to talk about. So I look into that. Let's see here. I have another tweet. Let me see if I could cover it before I wake up my kids. Next one. Okay, so there's this here. Harry and Meghan operate with no leaks and no calls to paparazzi. They just go about their business, living their lives, seeing their friends, and releasing completed, well thought out projects. I'm so glad they escaped the sunken palace. Okay, so there's that here. And Fairyland. Okay, whatever you want to think, because they're doing that thing and you're following them. All right, this is funny. Gracie needed her own security guard in Nigeria. So ridiculous. You could think it's ridiculous. How come many of you are all over her? All right, that explains why he to apologize to the court for leaking. I don't know what this is, but whatever it is, let me look it up. So this is the thing that they were talking. I guess it's because of his case. He was asking information. The Duke of Sussex has apologized for breaking confidentiality rules by sending private information about his high court fight. See, his own thing, his information. So this is why I say I need to look more into it. All right, that was what, April 16, 2024. I wasn't aware of this. Okay, High Court fight with the Home Office to the veteran minister. John Mercer, Prince Harry emailed Mercer confidential detail of his security claim, court document shows. Okay, so I could understand why he will do that, because he's trying to fight his case in order for, I mean, remember, all these people who are in position in the UK that Harry will need information from are all his father's thing and the papers kind of buddy. So they probably force him to say things in order for him to get the information that he's looking for, and then this. So it's about him anyway. So I don't know why these people think it's so bad about that. All right, so there's that. Meghan, stop lying. What? You look like okay, so let me not go there. All right, let's go to another tweet. All right, Harry and Meghan. Okay, I think I should stop and finish whatever I started earlier. I find it amusing how Harry just released one short statement, and ever since then, Charles and company have leaked multiple versions of to why Father of the Year didn't have time to meet his son during his visit to the UK. He really runs circle around them. What is it? I guess that's when he responded about the father invited him to stay at a place, and then he didn't stay. Okay, same shit with that Meghan Markle made KKK cry story. Meghan told one story while they changed it multiple times. They both cry, and then Meghan made Charles cry, etc., etc. That also how you know they are lying. Kensington Palace, not a trusted source. Liars. Okay, this time is BP. There's all of that. It's the weirdest thing. How can they not realize, no matter how you slice it, King Charles the Cruel looks bad? He's the king and head of the royal family. Does anyone think if he's wanted to see Harry, he could have made it happen? Please. Alright. Yep, if the British guy put it out, he shut every one of his haters up. Alright, so let's go to the next one. This is my last one, and then I'm done. Okay, the main thing was the paper thing that I wanted to read. Okay, funny how Meghan's friends stopped posting about their gem, and suddenly the gem industry on Troll Island has gone silent. Are they still selling gems over there, or did they go back to beans and toast? I'm actually curious what happened to American Riviera Orchard. Even the gem just 7 of 50 posted. I just hope it's not one of Meghan's pet project that has potential but always fails. What? Okay, nobody who support Meghan or has a medicure of common sense to worry about American Riviera Orchard, because they fully understand what a soft launch is. Only idiots look at what she's done with American Riviera so far and worry. It's literally marketing 101. I'm telling you, if I go to her IG, you're not gonna see a damn thing. I don't know. Did she put anything? American Riviera. There's that here. She hasn't put anything out. All right, look how many followers. 616,000 followers. She hasn't put anything except her what is it, the logo. All right, I don't even think it's about gem. It's more about the utensils, the bowls, I think, in my humble opinion. That this is a troll. Okay, Troll Island unnecessary. Take a good look at the media surrounding the royals. They're professional trolls hiding behind a press pass. They don't report factual confirmation news. They editorialize the most trivial. Tittle tattle and use it to globally troll the target of the moment. Okay, let's see here. Totally agree. I just don't like my country being labeled that. Our press, media, and royal family deserve that. And there are probably millions of trolls in the UK, but not the whole island. There's gonna be election. But then again, all of them, you replace one, you got another one. I think it was very exhausting work, and they have put that as work engagement for the next year. And of course, they call it duty to the nation, and the king has new titles and scheduled ceremony to hand out medals for themselves. Okay, and the royal family ordered so much gem and thinking they were going to have a role on it. They ended up giving it to a portrait artist and told him to do what he wanted with it. Did they? Okay, allegedly. I don't follow these people, so I don't know. Are they for real? Let me see. There's the laugh here. I don't know. Let's put allegedly. I don't know. So I went to look about the gem situation with the royal family because I don't know anything about them giving it away. So I type on Google, what did the British royals did with their leftover gems? But this is the thing, what's really weird about that, the headlines, the royal gem wars are underway. What the hell? The United States and the United Kingdom have long been allies, but a new war between the two superpowers is ramping up. What the hell is this? The wording of that headlines. Buckingham Palace and Meghan Markle's strawberry gem. Buckingham Palace and Meghan Markle are both releasing strawberry gem. Here's what to know. Oh my God. These people really want people in a fight mode and every little thing. Maybe that's why we don't hear anything about the gems from Meghan's side of her friends and stuff. Royal fan thanks Meghan Markle, Buckingham Palace are... Okay, I'm not gonna click to those things. Celebrity rave about the strawberry gem from Meghan Markle's new lifestyle brand. 1 week later, Buckingham Palace advertised its own. They're just copying whatever Meghan does. Look at this. This is why the squad is saying, what happened to them? You don't hear much about Meghan thing. You don't hear none about the left behind royals. But anyway, let's get back to the original recording. I thought that was very interesting. The titles, the headlines of those articles. But anyway. Okay, I thought about that today. The toxic tabloid will have you believe they sold out. Fans bug buying it. Back to beans and toast. That's the laugh here. They said gem is for the elites. They can't afford it. Huh? Okay. Oh, you petty. There's that. Exactly. OMG. Come on. OMG is just freaking gem. Get over it. Just bean and toast. All right. So that's that. All right. So please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share. If you want. What is that? Okay. So this is something I responded to a tweet. Not to I think I was covering on my last video, which I'm still editing. That's regarding the American Orchard. Lemonada. So BBC seems like to be telling Meghan's platform or whatever. And this was my comment about it. I said, at some point, Meghan Markle will have to create her own network and her own platform. I said this a long time ago, way before podcasts and Netflix docuseries. She will have to create her own studio at some point. Easy for me to say, I know. Eventually, that's what I believe it will boil down to, goal setting. All right, so 10 people like it so far. Yeah, all she has to do is create her own thing and then have different department and then she manage all of that. All right, and she could keep it simple. Have a time frame, while they not producing, making things public, have a cycle of things. Let's say the first part, again, this is my humble opinion. The first part of the year, they create, okay, from January to June or something like that. They create, and then following that, the next half of the year, whatever they worked on while they were off, and then is being made public for the people. And then while the things is being made public, they could work on the next thing. Okay, take break in between and then do the recycle thing. Keep it very simple. Look how the podcast went very well. Very simple. All right, so they could still do that in a manageable way and then put the content out. They don't need this crazy platform, any little amount of money. I remember at the beginning of me doing podcasts and sharing my tweets and stuff like that with you. And as I looked deeper into the UK thing, and I was like, oh my God, these people take very little for maximum damage. Because the amount of money they're getting under the table, it wasn't worth it for the things that they were doing. And then I come across, not too long ago, one of them was taking dog food. I'm like, what the hell? But anyway, so I'm done. Please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share. If you want to support this channel, there's a PayPal link and a Cash App link in the description. You could donate. Those who have donated, thank you. All right, so that's it. And let me get back to my editing. And this one probably, when I come back from vacation, I'll work on it. So that's that. Thank you for watching.
Avanaka. It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we ask for forgiveness and please come back.
As you saw me find the love and happiness that I'd hoped for all my life. You are all in this together, and if I may speak personally, we are all in this together, because asking for help was one of the best decisions that I ever made. You will be continually amazed how life changes for the better.